hashtag that's been trending on Twitter for the last 2 days, and basically it's on the need for parents to be aware of the graphic content, the raunchy pictures or photos, if you like, that their children, their teenage children, are posting online. With me in studio to discuss this issue is Foster Odongo. He's a student at the University of Nairobi. I'm also joined by Hilda Lumati, student, African Nazarene University, and also joined by Simon Anyona, who's a sociologist and a counselor. Good evening, and thank you for joining us, all of you. I'll start with you, Hilda. Let me start with the lady.
Okay.
The internet never forgets, and I think all of us are well aware of the fact that the internet does not forget. Why is such content being put out there by persons, I think, slightly younger than you? What's the motivation behind it?
I think it's because of peer pressure. Mostly when, for example, university students, most of the university students come from the villages, and their parents have struggled so hard to pay for their school fees. And when they come to the city to go to the university, there's that peer pressure. I want to be like so-and-so. Why is so-and-so posting pictures on Instagram with so many likes? I mean, I think I can do that too. So it's more of peer pressure, and it's something that is really affecting us young people.
You say they post because they want to be like so and so, and because of the likes. Yes. When we talk about these likes, what gratification does a social media user, and I'm talking about a teenager or somebody close to your age,
yes,
what gratification do you get from these likes?
There is no really gratification about it. I think it's just more of attention, and you want to catch the public eye, you want people to like you, stuff like that. So it's really a big issue.
Let me come to you, Foster. Hilda says the thinking behind this is that I want to be so like so and so. Also the popularity that comes from the likes. When we talk about the so and so's, who are the role models of you young people? Who are these people that you're looking up to, and could they be setting this precedent? Could they be influencing this line of thinking?
I think the role models usually come from maybe some video vixens, people from international, because you cannot see the role models are people from Kenya, because even the Kenyan artists are the ones even practicing this. So like the kids will start wondering, even the musicians are practicing this one, so why can't I do it? So the peer pressure comes from those people who may be seeing from the artist, from the videos, in order to get the attention.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your phone. You in particular, why you allowed access to a phone by your parents or your guardian, and how involved were they in the content on your social media or even on your phone?
The first time I got a phone was when I was in secondary, maybe Form 2. Yeah.
That's about 16. You're 16 years old.
Yeah, 16 years old. So like I was not that exposed to social media, but my mom usually came trying to get into my Facebook account, trying to see my pictures, and every time commenting about it. So I was like paranoid each and every time I post something in it. But my parents usually give me advice on what to do, something of the sort.
Did you find this, your parent being all up in your social media, intrusive? Were you uncomfortable about it?
Yeah, obviously I was uncomfortable, because at that age you thought like, why is she into my personal life as such? She should give me space and such things. So I was kind of fed up by all this. At some point I wanted to block her, but I realized when I was in Form 4 that is like immature. So that's why I came and I'm like sort of matured. Yeah, past that.
When we talk about, Hilda, you raised something very important. You talked about some of these people being perhaps from the rural area or from poor backgrounds, and therefore the pressure to want to fit into a society where everybody looks like they're living really large. Let's talk about the photographers and the models. What type of photography is this? What type of modeling is this? Obviously, if you're from a poor background, then your parents might not have access to a phone, and therefore they might not come across what it is that you're posting out there. We're seeing very graphic photos, very graphic images being posted out there. And in terms of the photographers, who some of them are coming online and saying, but this is me, I'm aspiring to be a photographer. What are your thoughts on the type of photography and modeling that's being put out there?
I feel like at the end of the day, a photographer wants to make money. We are all looking for money. So this is his work. So he or she doesn't care if someone comes and takes these kinds of photos. So at the end of the day, he's working, he's making money. So really for photographers, I can really say they don't care.
The photographers are the teenagers as well. Actually, we found that a significant number of them are still these social media users. They're not exactly practicing or professional photographers, but they fall within this bracket that we're talking about when we say Ifikie Wazazi.
And I think when a photographer is taking a picture, he wants to make money, he wants to post it on social media so that he can get more clients. And these pictures capture people's eyes. These pictures are pictures that get so many likes on Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms. So at the end of the day, for photographers, it is work. They're young people, but at the end of the day, they don't care.
What about for the models?
For the models, they're also doing it for money, for fame, especially for fame. That is what people look for, especially the young people. They really, really look for fame.
When you talk about fame, you're talking about social media influence.
Yes.
So the more likes you get, so what at the end of the day would be the outcome of all these likes and all this popularity?
The people will follow you, first of all. And if you have so many followers, maybe let's say, for example, a celebrity, for example, a musician, when he needs a video vixen, he'll go online and try to check those kinds of pictures, and he will know this girl can come in my video and do this kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, they come and look for these people from social media to come, pay them and be in their videos.
For the people who have most followers.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Simon, let's talk about the implications of putting such content out there for these young people. What are they looking at in terms of their future?
Well, I'm a bit surprised that at the reasons that my good friend Hilda has given as to why young people are posting somewhat disturbing images on the internet. And when you look at it, if you look at popularity, is a short-term form of gratification, which, yes, you will become popular in the short term, but it has adverse effects in the long term. Because we are living in the age of communication, in the age of internet, where everything is subjected to scrutiny. Even something as simple as a job application is subjected to scrutiny through various means, through just a simple Google of your name, of your character, what have you been up to. And so it really bothers me when, it really disturbs me when I try to you know, connect my thinking and when I look at the possible ramifications of this in the future.
Right.
I'm a bit concerned for these young boys and girls.
Let's talk about phone ownership. For somebody here like Foster, who says he got his phone when he was around 16 years old. Yes. On phone ownership and parents monitoring the content on the phones and also monitoring what their teenage children are doing on social media. A lot of the reactions we're getting here from teenagers is that it's extremely intrusive of their parents to even follow them on Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook. They call it stalking.
Yes.
So the parental role, and then there's also the element of parents trying to fill in the gap of them not being available for their children, and therefore, you know, giving them access to all this money, not really knowing what they're doing with this money. They could be buying phones, could be whatever.
Yes.
So let's talk about parenting and their role in the midst of all of this.
Right. So maybe we could start by discussing the right age. What is the right age at which a youngster would be entitled to get a phone? I would not place a number on that, but I would use the judgment of the parent to assess the child and see if the child has the ability to decide between how to use the gadget positively and how to use it, and whether they would be susceptible to using it in the wrong ways. There is no right age to it, but I believe that knowing your child, knowing your child's character, knowing your child's thinking can lead you to actually making that decision as to when the right age is to give a phone to a young person.
How involved should the parent get in terms of the content?
Now, in terms of the content, I think getting too involved is actually the wrong way to go about it, because when you try to stalk, to break into the messages, into the Facebook pages, into such things, the children feel a bit that their privacy is invaded, and they would also become a bit more defensive. And I think what we are seeing now is a reaction to that kind of invasiveness, where they feel that their privacy is not respected, and they ought to be given a little bit more space than they are actually being given. But also, you know, the internet, so to speak, is a new tool that has come into our space. We did not have this in our years. I actually got access to a mobile phone in my early 20s. So unlike Foster, who got a mobile phone while in secondary school. But we are still dealing with the shocks of with the puzzle, or with the mystery of how to deal with this internet thing. How do we? I mean, how do we? It is even getting in the way of marriages for the same parents, and so we are not really clear on how to deal with this internet. But I believe that we are making the right steps, small steps, but steps in the right direction. And I think having this discussion is also part of those.
And a lot of parents are concerned about who actually comes across these photos. These are underage teenagers, underage young, ladies and men. There's a lot of sexual predators out there, child trafficking as well. And so parents are very concerned about this trend. But as we wind up, and I'll start with you, Foster, are you not concerned as young people of the content you're putting in there, particularly the fact that parents are coming across nudes of their own children? And for you, as we close, what would be the way forward? How do we come around ensuring that the content online is actually healthy, constructive, and that does not lead to questions such as those that we're raising tonight?
I think the first step we should take it should start with the parents, whereby the parents should get involved in it, but not so much involved that can make the child get defensive. By defensive, maybe starting to run from home, sort of things. So the parents should get involved, starting giving advice, trying to tell the child that I've also been there, so it's something that is understandable. And plus also, I think the government should try and come up with a way of blocking such photos. You get,
Okay, and for you, Hilda, this seeking of instant fame without caring what the future will look like for you as young persons, do you consider where you will look for jobs in the future? And for ladies also, the prospect of a future husband, and your mother-in-law and what she would think if she came across such photos, but that's a story for another day. What do you think should be the way forward?
At the end of the day, I think you as a young person, let me tell you from my own perspective, we as young people, most of us feel like we can get husbands, boyfriends through taking this kind of pictures, because at the end of the day, people, they feel like men want to look at this type of pictures, you understand? So I think for an app like, let's say, Instagram, Facebook, the social media platforms, I think they should come up with a feature just like YouTube. When you want to watch something that is obscene, it always gives you a notice, inappropriate, you have to sign in. So for Instagram and other social medias, they need to have that kind of thing when they're performing their tasks. You understand?
And very quickly from you, Simon, the way forward.
The way forward is for these young boys and girls to actually reflect on the possible repercussions of their actions. These actions will come back to haunt them socially, professionally, in future. For now, it may seem like the right thing to do. It may give them that quick hype, but these are things that the internet never forgets. And anything you put on the internet will always leave a footprint, which can always be traced back to you. And so they should reflect on the possible repercussions of this when they go seeking out for a job, when they go seeking out even for a scholarship. I know of one person who was denied a scholarship simply because of some inappropriate content. But also to realize that while it may give them instant fame and instant self-gratification, it also exposes them to other harmful practices such as social media bullying, which can really take a toll on somebody. And also, more importantly, the prospects in the future. Nobody wants to marry a girl who has very disturbing photos all over the internet. I mean, that is not the kind of person really you look forward to having as a wife. And so knowing that what you do today will come back to haunt you, it will remain as a skeleton in the closet. But that is on the part of these young boys and girls who are posting these disturbing images. On the part of the parents, I think parents also have a huge role to play in this. They ought to also consider that these are young people, they are growing, They are also curious in terms of the growing curve, and so they ought to give them a little bit of more space for them to explore, but also provide some guidance as to how you can explore, yes, for information, but also explore more on how to more positively use the social media as opposed to using it for the purposes that they're using it. In terms of monitoring, I think monitoring is important, but not at the level of actually intruding on the person's phone. It could be more or less in terms of providing guidance as to how you can use that tool more effectively, rather than wanting to see what messages you're sending and receiving on your Facebook page.
That's right, and we thank you so much for your time. This is a conversation that will continue on 10 over 10. Over the last week, there is a certain Kenyan artist that has been on the spotlight for actually mishandling a fan on stage in what looked like a graphic display of nudity, and this is of course part of what it is that we're talking about here. How far really should you go in terms of exposure on social media? Somebody actually took that video, and therefore those graphic images are out there. Joy Muthengi and Willis Raburu will be talking about that on 10 over 10. My guest in studio this evening, Simon Anyona, who's a sociologist and a counselor. We're also joined by Hilda Lumati, who is a student at the Africa Nazarene University, and Foster Odongo, who is a student at the University of Nairobi. And I always like to say that popularity does not translate to success. So as you're looking for those likes, as you're looking for those hits on your social media, always remember that popularity does not translate to success. We're handing over to Joey and Willis. My name is Lillian Muli. Certainly a conversation we will continue. A lot of your feedback coming in, and we thank you for engaging in this conversation. That's a wrap from us here in studio. Good night.